Hello everyone, dear viewers and listeners of IDEA Radio and TV, this global think tank. This is Cyrus and welcome to the Friday talk show with Miss Anushka. Anushka, you want to say hello to our viewers and your fans as well till we start the Friday talk show.
Hello everybody.
Thank you. Our today's subject is the revolution of the Iranian peoples continues. Today is a Friday, December 23rd, 2022, and second day of the Iranian month 2581, which we are in the fourth month of protest that led to ongoing revolution that strikes by the heroic people of Iran against the occupying regime of Islamic Republic of Iran. You know that the nationwide revolutionary protest of Iran's against the Islamic Republic have passed 100 days. At least 39 protesters are currently at the risk of execution or death penalty sentences. According to the December 17 report by the Norway-based non-governmental organization Iran Human Rights, IHR, on Saturday, actress Taraneh Ali-Dosti was arrested in Tehran, considered internationally the highest profile figure targeted. Ali-Dosti had posted online without her mandatory headscarf or hijab and was arrested following her denunciation of the first execution of the protester, 23 years old Mohsen Shekari. She had warned, quote unquote, authorities to expect the consequences of his killing. The trial has lost nearly 20% of its value since the nationwide protest erupted 3 months ago. Iran's troubled currency felt the new low against the US dollar on Saturday as Iranians, desperate to find the safe haven for their saving, have been trying to buy dollars, other hard currencies, or gold. Therefore, the conditions in which the people of Iran live these days is very difficult. And accordingly as well. Okay, our first question is shutting down the internet, filtering many websites, not having access to global banking system, not having freedom of speech, and arresting people who protest even on their own social media pages, and also raiding houses, then stealing and spying on electric devices such as mobile phones and laptop, and only part of the suffocation of Iranian society. As a person who lives in a free society, how do you see these conditions? We'd like to hear it from you.
It is truly heartbreaking to see that in the 21st century here, in our, the years that we have, that in a time where technology has progressed so much worldwide, even in Iran, like there's so much of that technology with all the brilliant youth that they have, yet they continue to be oppressed, and they're unable to have this freedom of speech that is our birthright, a way to express themselves, their talents. Like, they're such talented, brilliant minds in Iran. And it truly is devastating to see that they are unable to have what we have. And it really just seems that the people living in Iran are really living in a prison that's run by an evil terrorist regime. That's what it feels like. That's what I see from the outside. No one in this time and age should be living under such conditions. Period. It's horrific. It really is horrific to witness people that are my own age, younger than myself, much younger than myself, that aren't even able to live their life freely, be able to express themselves openly, and just be themselves. So it just breaks my heart. This shouldn't be.
Well, of course, is unbelievable and unheard of. And the interesting thing that is always remain as a bold question in my mind, that how come in the case of Iran, when these things happen, they wait and wait and wait 44 years. And specifically recently, 4 months, and they turn their head away. I'm talking about the Western government, which they call themselves the cradle of the democracy. That's still remaining a big question in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And in the mind of the history will be remaining. Anyhow, maybe you know the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, intelligence organization has arrested 5 athletes in Shiraz for allegedly planning to detonate a bomb on October 26 in Shah Cheragh Mosque, which is seriously is a shameful slander. Tasnim, which is a new agency of Islamic Republic government, named the 5 athletes arrested by the IRGC as Dina Shaybani, the first one, which is the snowboarding coach and graphic artist, Hessam Musavi, rock climbing coach. It's very interesting. All of them, they have a rank in their own division. Amir Arsalani Mahdavi, snowboarding coach, and Eshraq Najafabadi, cycling coach, Mohammad Khivi, a climbing coach. And it was interesting. After that explosion, the people suspect the Islamic Republic orchestrated the attack on Shah Cheragh to blame the discredited protests and such a nationwide revolt. And if you remember, or you were following the news, the face of that person later on revealed and has so many pictures beside Khamenei and beside the Qasem Soleimani. It was their own people. But there were conflicting reports about the exact number of the dead and injured in the October 26 attacks. While Iran's interior minister put the number of the dead and injured at 13 and 40 respectively, the Tehran-based hardliner Kayhan newspaper and Iran Daily said 15 had died in the attack and 23 others were injured. But here is our second question. Anushka, why do you think that among all the crimes and killing and the regime of the Islamic Republic of Iran, they put so much emphasis on arresting athletes, elites, doctors, and talented young people in general? We hear from you.
I really believe this regime, they're afraid of talented young people. And they're afraid that they're going to excel in a way and become a threat to them. especially those that do become well known, not just in Iran, but outside of Iran. Their voices are heard, they have followings. So it just seems like this regime wants to keep people small, wants to keep people scared so they don't rise up like they have right now. And athletes, doctors, singers, rappers, artists, actors, actresses, right? Models even, right? They all have a voice. They have a voice. They have a huge following, especially on social media. If you see a lot of the ones that have been killed and you look at their followers, they're in the, some of them in the millions, right? So they have this voice, and it just seems that they are afraid to have, and want to, on the other side, want to instill fear as well in the people, to say this is what we're going to do. But at the end, I really believe they're afraid because they have such an influence. These people have an influence on other people, and they will stand to rise up and stand up to their evil doings. So of course they want to eliminate them, thinking that this is going to instill fear in others that follow them. Rather than, thankfully, right now what we're seeing is it's constantly fueling the fire within these courageous young souls. I mean, even us, like being outside of Iran, I mean, we listen to so many of the talented young artists, such as Tumaj. Tumaj has become a regular at my household, like constantly listening to his revolutionary songs. So this is what they're afraid of. They're afraid that these amazing, talented people are going to influence others. If I'm influenced, I can only imagine those in Iran and how influenced they are.
All right, yeah, as you're saying, this is amazing to observe this situation and believing it's happening to us, to Iran. The people with amazing culture and
Absolutely.
historically deep and basically and personally, I don't believe that this is just the work of mullahs. And if we study deeply, we know that England was the one that started all from the Safavid time. And when you look at the Khomeini's parents, the guy from India, and has been working with the English people in the consulate of England, and even himself as a young guy, not in a Jose Elmiye, but in a consulate of England in Iraq, had all of his training and fooled the people of war. He was able to speak English language very well. And still the people call it the revolution by Khomeini. No, it's not. Anyhow, as you know, the Islamic Republic of Iran has always made cases for its opponents in all these 43 years of its ruling. This means that if they consider a person to be in conflict with their interest and ideology, they falsely attributes all kind of crime and accusations to him so that the government can execute him or her. In all these years, thousands and thousands of the people were killed by Islamic regime, by hanging, killing, under torture, shooting, throwing from rooftop, and recently from helicopter to Persian Gulf.
Yeah,
Not one, not two, every day. And the people from rooftop to ground, not letting to be vaccinated during the COVID time and other methods. Amazing. Now, here comes our third question. How filing a case on false accusations whose punishment is so heavy that it led to the execution of that person can happen in a government, and this cruelty by sustained. Does the world know to see such a government is making the world unsafe, why should still exist in the world? And they keep silent. To hear it from you.
Yeah, this government, I mean, I don't even like calling them a government because it just doesn't seem like a government. They just will surely do anything. I mean, the whole helicopter thing, I remember, reading that just this last week. And again, it's like, if you feel like it can't get any worse, they'll prove you wrong. And it blows my mind how evil they can be. Like, who goes and thinks about such things, to throw live people into the Persian Gulf from a helicopter? I mean, it literally is, it's like speechless. And they do it, again, I really think they're trying to instill fear in people to really get them to stop this revolution. And of course, they don't give them fair trials because they're criminals themselves. I mean, these illegal actions, it's literally like mafia, worse than a mafia probably. False accusations, it's very obvious. Even like all the forced confessions by way of torture. Like, it's just unreal that this exists. I mean, typically when you look at an actual true government worldwide, they have a judicial system that punishes actual criminals for crimes that they have committed. But this regime, they're arresting protesters that are just out there speaking their truth, saying this is what we want, freedom. They're really peaceful protesters. They were initially. Now maybe they started doing a little bit of things here and there to at least defend themselves. But really, it came down to the fact that they are peaceful protesters being arrested. They're being arrested for freedom of speech, what we have as freedom of speech, like being able to sing about that. Like even with Shervin, Hajipur, how he had Baraye, which is now our anthem, and he was arrested because of it. It's a song. And it's all these fake cases that is against them that they've never even committed, yet they're being executed for things that is like minuscule in other countries. And what's worse is they can't even defend themselves because they're being refused lawyers. And that does not happen in any other part of the world. This type of cruelty, therefore, cannot be sustained because, I mean, it's unreal, and it's been going on for decades. And it really has worsened in the last over 100 days because people just will not stand down anymore. And it seems these world leaders and the governments they don't want to get involved. They see it as it's not their issue, maybe. I don't know. I think just like you, I'm constantly like, why is no other Western government getting more involved with this, with what's happening to the people in Iran? And it's so unfortunate. And again, they seem to be more concerned about what benefits their country and their own people. So they maybe see it as, well, this is happening in Iran, and so therefore it's not our business. But not realizing that such an evil government is like having a rotten fruit in a fruit bowl. Eventually, that fruit that's rotten is going to rot all the other fruit unless it's removed. So that's what this is. That's what's happening right now. Those in this theocratic regime are the terrorists that the world needs to stand up to. They must be removed. Otherwise, it's going to cause the other countries harm, really. It's really long overdue for this regime to be overthrown. They do not have a place or should not exist in a world where consciousness is continuing to raise to a higher level. And when it comes to energy and frequency, they really are no longer a vibrational match for this world and where the world is headed. So I really look forward to that day when they are held accountable for these atrocious actions that they continue to commit. It's horrific.
It's very interesting that me and you, and I think most of the people, they are wondering why so many lives of Iranians is not matter for the Western society.
Yeah.
That's why I'm just reminded me to read this for you in the clip that I received. Very interesting. It says why the other country they don't support the people's protest. And it says because by changing the regime, U.S. has to pay $120 million to the Iranian, number one. And if the regime change, a lot of talented Iranian that freely, with no cost to the Western society, they came to US, to Canada, to Europe, and to Australia. 10,000 expert has to go back. And also, Iran is not going to play a role of the dangerous terrorist country that make the Arab Peninsula to purchase so many weapons. And also the leadership of Saudi Arabia, it's over on OPEC, and the new Iran, it's going to be a very hard line competition. And also Turkey, it's not going to be the center of the tourism in the Middle East, and millions and millions of dollars not going to be spent in Turkey anymore. And also Qatar cannot take so many gas. It means 13 times of the common area of the gas that Iran has to be extracting from that area, and Iran is not existed, it just doesn't touch that area, and Qatar is taking it. Look at so many things that they have in a stake. China and India, they cannot purchase the cheap oil anymore. And Russia, losing the puppet, which back and forth, they're taking anything they want from the Caspian Sea, from long-term contracts, and so on and so forth. And then he says, look, that's the reason they don't want it. They're looking at so many killing, and they turn their face the other way around. Anyhow.
So sad. It's like human lives aren't worth it to them because, again, money.
Not human life. Are important. When George Floyd was in an accident, died, they made it international cases. Even I think if you go to the Mars, there was a picture of the George Floyd. And even in Iran, the stupid people, they put the name of the George Floyd, and at the top of the sign of the street, they said, porno star. They didn't know what the porno star means. One person.
Yeah.
Anyhow, back to our program. All members of the National Council of Austria, the lower house of country's parliament, announced Tuesday they will sponsor Iranian detained during the recent protests, as well as many other diplomats around the world. Earlier in this month, several members of the German parliament, also Bundestag, announced their political sponsorship of the Iranian political prisoners, most of whom are in danger of the imminent execution of bogus charges. Yi Van Rij, a member of the Bundestag, who has undertaken political sponsorship of the imprisoned dissident rapper, said in the series of the tweets that she has written to the Iranian ambassador, the EU Special Representative for Human Rights, the Council of the Europe Commissioner for Human Rights and the High Commissioner of Human Rights about Toomaj Salehi case and express her great concerns for his well-being. And I should mention, political sponsorship in German language is a politische Patenschaft in German language, is a way for parliamentarians to select a specific political detainee and use their political weight to campaign for prisoners' freedom. This is mainly done by addressing the ambassadors and the relevant government and international institutions dealing with the human rights. But Anushka, tell me your idea that, in your opinion, in which aspects that how can activities such as taking political sponsorship of the freedom fighters in Iran by Western diplomats help the Iranian revolution?
I do feel like when I saw this, I felt like, oh, this was huge. It actually, especially when we saw with the German sponsorship of Toomaj. My husband Ashkan is a huge fan of his, so he very much follows everything with Toomaj. And really, what I see it as, this is actually a huge step forward, and with like Western taking some kind of action towards these talented souls, innocent, talented souls that are unfortunately being tortured. I mean, even with Toomaj, we've heard he has broken fingers, legs, and things like that. And I'm sure all the other protesters are dealing with, you know, even worse things that we continue to hear about. And I believe that the more that they get sponsored, the more that we say, even that we say their names of those that are imprisoned, it makes them more well known, so this regime can't get away with it. So they can't get away with, oh, if someone is known and next thing you know that person is executed or murdered in some way, then they're going to look bad, right? So they're doing everything to put it on the actual people when it's them. So this, it actually, I believe the more the Western countries get involved in this in terms of sponsorship, rather than doing business with this regime, it really isolates them. It begins to isolate them more and get them to a place to really see that they're all full of lies. And all they do is illegal activity, criminal activity towards their own people. And so the more they continue to sponsor them, it's giving a voice to the Iranian people. And then it will isolate the regime eventually. What I see is overthrow them. That's what I can see this doing. I mean, this is a great step forward, and the next step I feel like is still to stop all business with them, period. Again, it's what's the Western doing? Like, we want more, right? And I do at least see this as, because I'm a positive thinker, right? I'm all about positivity, so I'm like, okay, this is something that we're moving forward. It is an action. So I am excited about this.
Thank you so much. Here we are coming to the end of this program. But before the announcing of end of the program, despite of the fact of the sad heart of the Iranian, we have to wishing the happy holiday and happy Hanukkah to people around the world. Thank you for your company and sharing this production, such as much as possible, to help us on the path of the wisdom and freedom for the women, life, freedom. Long live Iran. Thank you, Anushka.
Thank you.